We've come here to embody and to look at the things that others don't want to with compassion. We are the mystics. We are here for transformation. We are not afraid of growth. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, the podcast empowering empathic women who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their intuition, begin to trust their sensitivities, find inner clarity, and show up with embodied, unstoppable confidence in their daily lives. I am your host, Olivia Ashley, an empath and intuitive, and I am so happy you're here. Hello, and welcome back to Intuition Unlocked. It is Olivia, and today we are diving into something both ancient and deeply powerful: the wild woman archetype, the wild feminine, this divine, powerful expression of energy and embodiment that I think every woman has. Some of us have it more strongly or resonate more strongly than others. I myself am very deeply connected to the wild woman, the mystic, the creator, the teacher, the spiritual transformation that happens. There is so much connected to this embodiment. And for so long, the idea of this wild, untamed feminine spirit has been both misunderstood and even repressed. I know myself, I did not understand this or really fully be able to express it in a healthy way for a long time. Yet within each of us, I truly believe lies this instinctual, creative, and liberated aspect of ourselves that once we awaken, we can bring ourselves back into our most authentic and vibrant and truly creatrix, powerful selves. So I'll share a little bit about my journey from going from this really repressed and shy woman into embracing my voice and reclaiming my power, because I definitely did this whole journey, and that's what brings me to feeling really drawn to sharing some of it and diving deep into this topic, because we are here to be fully embodied. And again, that wild woman, that wild feminine energy that we have is calling. I mean, I just feel her knocking on our door, asking to be remembered, asking to be expressed. And so I'm excited to see what all comes through in this episode and what you feel afterwards. So by the end, you'll have a few practical steps to start embodying your own wild feminine energy, and you'll really discover what this archetype represents, why I see it being essential as a woman or a female to connect with her and express her. You'll learn about the importance of intuition and how it guides the wild feminine, and you'll gain practical steps to help you nurture and express your own wild woman within. So to begin, I think we should start by understanding what is this wild feminine and wild woman archetype. This archetype is not something that is new. You can see it through a lot of myths and psychology and history. It is a primal and instinctual part of ourself. It's like the wolf. That would be the animal representation of this archetype and this energy. She is the wolf. She is trusting her senses and following her intuition, and she's independent, but she's also a part of a pack. So there's a difference. She's not just a loner. She's not by herself. And yet there is a power innate in being strong and independent and able to be on your own and then bring that to the community and to the pack and to lead and to support. So for many women, the wild feminine has been dormant, and society often teaches us to be compliant or tame as women. Yet this aspect of us contains an untapped power and a wisdom that thrives on authenticity and creative expression. Embracing her means allowing yourself to feel deeply and to honor the rawness of who you are. I see her as being deeply tied to the expression of freedom, to honor and nurture her unique being, needs, interests, wants, and be in alignment with the community, the earth, nature, the universe, her children. She is connected and mysterious, sensual and powerful, a warrior really in her own right, but one that is full of empathy and compassion and is a fierce protector of herself and people. Can you get what I'm creating here, the vision I'm setting? And I want to talk a little bit about the repression of this wild woman expression because its roots run deep. It has been unfolding over centuries, if not millennia. This complex societal, historical, and cultural factors that have unfolded really stem from this broader pattern of patriarchal systems, societal norms, and really the fear of power that is inherent in feminine qualities, especially these qualities that are expressed freely and outside of socially accepted bounds. And I've seen that front and center in my own life. I think we can look and see what we are guided as young females of what roles we play, how we dress, what to expect of ourselves, when and where we should speak up or not, how outgoing we should be, or sensual or sexual. There's so many limits that have been placed upon us. And this does not just come from our current society, it is deeply ingrained. This is coming from organized religion and hierarchical structures that have really promoted the male dominance and then the suppressed expression of feminine power. I really see that there is more of this resetting happening. There just needs to be a balancing and a recognition that both feminine and masculine qualities have a role to play in our lives. When we have too much of one or the other, things just are imbalanced. They don't work well. You lose sight of aspects of the other that give. It's about this synergy. And yet we are coming from this historical place of having our femininity and our wild tendencies, which is normal. Like, I think wild, you can think like too much or over the top. I really see wild as just a true expression, right? The wild animal. We have a domesticated animal versus a wild animal. We have wild grains versus the genetically modified grains that we have. We've come away from the natural state of being, and that's how I'm using wild. It's this reclamation of our true selves and expressions that we are here as a woman incarnate and embodied, and men can tap into these aspects too, obviously, but I'm coming from this aspect. And so this repression came from this need to maintain order, to establish rigid social structures, to create what those in power were wanting from the communities and the world at that time. And so this came with this silencing of women's voices and the diminishing of our feminine energy. And it came with this fear. So it brings me to how women in past were often labeled as hysterical or witches or rebels and subjected to punishment or even marginalization because we did not identify with the cultural norms. And we often then were facing social rejection, even persecution, the witch trials you can think of. And so a lot of us have this deep wounding. You might have heard of the witch wounding, which stems from these systems and this history that our ancestors, our female ancestors, our matriarchal lineages walked, and that we are here now ready to uncover, I just see this space of energy opening and releasing because we're ready to embrace, once again, independence and sensuality and emotional strength and a deep connection to our intuition and voice. We voice how we feel. We use our voice to create and express and hold space and lead. We are leaders as wild women. We have come here to embody and to look at the things that others don't want to with compassion. We are the mystics. We are here for transformation. We are not afraid of growth. And so it's also having to release some of that shame and guilt that isn't even ours to begin with, but has been placed upon us, that any form of self-expression, sexuality, individuality as a woman is not okay, or you are not aligning to our socially constructed ideals, and therefore your expression, whether it's through your body, through your voice, through your art, through any of your creations, it becomes less worthy. We become less worthy. We become ostracized. We're looked down upon. And so it's having to almost build this armor within yourself, this sturdiness, this confidence, this self-trust to be able to say, I am not going to live or allow shame or guilt or others' external expectations be placed upon me. I am willing to embody and step forward and enact this wild feminine and wild woman form, if that's what you're being called to do. We are here as women, and if you're here listening, we are here to integrate our intuition, to embrace the emotional depth that we are gifted with being a feminine embodied human. I mean, it's really incredible. And it's not saying men don't have this, but I'm speaking to the feminine power, this depth, this innate connection to nature, this innate holistic sense that we just do. It's a primal piece of being a woman that we nurture, we support, we care for those who are unable to. We give a voice to the animals, to the planet, to those who don't have a true voice. We bring the balance back to the world in a sense. So that means starting to bring the balance back to you. This journey towards embracing this wild feminine is a process of unlearning and healing from these generations of social conditioning, expectations, the fear, the trauma that has been placed upon us. We first have to recognize it, make peace with it, and then channel that energy into a space that allows us to rediscover and embody a fuller expression of ourselves that is grounded in freedom, grounded in creativity, and this radical self-acceptance that I think we just have not fully seen yet. I think we've seen quite a bit of work and leaps been taken towards this wild woman expression being shown and shared, and we're being drawn to it. It's like this drum is being beaten, and we hear that drum beat, that call, that voice that is saying, there is more, you are powerful, embody, listen, bring this into your sphere and your life and watch the magic happen, watch the synchronicities unfold, and watch this beautiful community that will surround you as you embrace this from yourself. Not everyone is going to understand it, and that's okay. But you need to embrace who you are, your uniqueness, and you will find your purpose and your way and your voice and your power, because we all have it in different experiences. All of those words are going to be expressed in different ways, but we first have to recognize, where have we come from? Why, as women, do we struggle with feeling like we can ask for what we need, dress the way we want, use our voice to say the things that we feel and want, to be curious and explorative, to go for experiences that maybe not everyone else feels like is quote unquote the norm or what you should be doing, but for us to stand in our truth and maintain our steadfast belief and understanding that this is my truth and it wants to be shared in this way. And that is all I need to know to go forward. So how do we begin to start to move past these historical understandings and practices and really take actionable steps to working with this wild woman energy and embodying it? One of the first things is going to be facing your shadow self. To embody this wild woman fully, we must be willing to face our shadow sides and the aspects of ourselves that we've hidden or suppressed. The shadow holds the emotions and memories and the desires we were taught to deny. We all probably have those things that we can look back as a child that maybe we were interested in or we were doing and that we were shamed for. For myself, when I reflect back, I came into this world just very hard-headed, stubborn, independent, curious, and I never really worried that that would take me somewhere unsafe. I trusted in myself and my gut of, okay, I have a boundary. I know when something doesn't feel safe or good for me, but it seemed to be past where most other people's were. And so I really quickly realized I push buttons, I earthquake people. The way I see things, the things I decide to do, especially through my teenage years, really enforced this belief in me that I ultimately was unworthy. So when I think of when I was young, I felt very free and open and able to express creatively and trusted myself and what I wanted to do. And when I got to my early teens and then up into my early 20s, I shook my family and those around me, and I just lost myself. There was a lot of circumstances that went into this, but I had really unhealthy relationships with the core females in my life. And not because I necessarily was trying to make them unhealthy, it was just the reality of what I was facing. The way I looked, the way I dressed was very in the light of scrutiny. How I thought, what I liked, what my beliefs were. I was always told I was wrong. Why can't you just be like your sister or other people? Why do you have to be so much? Why can't you just conform, essentially was the message. And so I stopped raising my hand in school. I stopped speaking up or having a voice. I became a chameleon that could easily watch and observe and then adjust and readjust and be who those that were in my friend group where I wanted love from wanted me to be. But in that journey, I became very sad, very depressed, anxious, unhappy. I was numbing myself with drugs and alcohol. I was exploring my sexuality from a young age and really just doing anything and everything to feel alive, feel like I'm worthy, that someone wants me or loves me, because I was not getting that in my day to day. So that has been my last decade's journey of uncovering, of finding this confidence, looking at those shadow sides of, I was not perfect. I did not make the best choices all the time, but I understand why I did it, where those aspects of trauma and grief and guilt were stemming from, why I was numbing and covering them. And I think a lot of us have to face those dark nights of the soul and those rock bottoms, because otherwise we don't stop to reflect always. We're like, okay, I've created this person and I've created these masks and this is working for me. But in reality, is it? Are you happy? Do you feel nourished? Are you listening to your gut? Are you actually taking steps that make you feel proud of yourself? Like if you were a child, or maybe you do have a child, if you're looking from their eyes or your inner child's eyes, like, are you proud of your choices? Do you feel like you are expressing and living the life that you came here to be, that is free, that is full, that feels like it's your truth? So this process of facing the shadow is not easy, but it's so rewarding. You can do it with support, with a therapist, with somatic work, through exercise, body movement, spirituality, prayer, journaling, work with your spirit guides, your inner self. There's so many routes you can take to start to feel like you're supported and safe as you embrace all these parts of yourself without shame. And when you do that, you begin to draw power from these shadows. The aspects of yourself that you've dampened and repressed no longer hold the power because you shed light on them. And you can learn to alchemize those, to then take those heavier emotions, maybe it's fear or anger or rage, pleasure and sexuality, these things that we are told women should not feel or have, or they need to be expressed in a certain way. We can begin to shift them and break down the illusions we hold for ourselves, so that our ego and that story and that self that is not actually fully in power embodied, like your inner critic, they loses hold, and you get to reclaim who you are and reclaim your voice. So how do we begin to nurture and reclaim that wild self once we're doing this shadow work, once we're starting to integrate? I really see it as once you've started to open this door, it is just going to open. It will start to unfold this. It's like you've pulled on the thread and it's like, okay, I'm rolling, let's go. And the wild woman I see really understands the importance of nurturing both herself and her inner world. So I'd say one of the biggest pieces is going to be radical self-care. And again, this is not like, oh, I do some self-care, I go get a massage, once a month or so. No, this is deep nurturance of your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotions that feels liberating rather than draining, or like you're just skimming the surface of like, yeah, I do self-care. I eat my lunch away from my desk, like those little things are good, but this is next level work. To become your wild self and that wild woman is next level work. This is deep, lifelong journeying. This is soul transformation. This is the sparks of the fire that you will never let die. I mean, truthfully, once you have found this and it's activated in yourself, your life changes. And in big, amazing ways, the world, the universe conspires to support you because it's like you've stepped into this alignment. I see our bodies and our energy before being kind of scattered or dampened, or we're not even like letting them be fully in our body. It's like hanging behind us or up above us because we're numbing, or just like, I just have to get through the day and we can't even look at ourselves. It's like all that energy gets sucked back in and you are here and you are present and you are ready. And it just is a feeling. It's this felt sense because we know what this is at our core. Our soul knows how to do this. It's about saying no to things that don't inspire you or fuel you. It's about connecting to nature in whatever way makes most sense for you. Some do it through herbalism, through animals, through hiking, through drawing, or just being and sitting outside. There's so many different ways you can do it. And think of it as a reclaiming, a journey back to your innate vitality and joy. Because once you've reclaimed these aspects, you step into your expression. You are embodied and powerful, and you're respecting your own personal expression in creation and your version of freedom, your version of self-expression, your version of this is the path and these are my values and my beliefs and this is what I stand for. For women, when I really see the power start to unfold, like be truly centered and aligned, your voice starts to come online. You find how you can express yourself. You tap into that play, into that joy, and that sensuality and the playfulness. These areas just become enhanced and they change. And like I said, they're different than anything you've ever experienced. And not in like a big, oh my gosh, huge leaps and bounds. You might have that in time, but it takes time. It takes practice. And you open this channel of pure creation. And it's a really beautiful space to be able to live from and love from and create community from. So as we wrap up today's episode, remember that the wild woman is already within you, waiting to be recognized. You can begin by listening to your intuition, honoring your needs, and daring to face the parts of you that you may have hidden. What is your journey? How have you felt? Take some time to reflect on your own path. Where have you maybe repressed certain aspects of yourself? What have you let go of, especially as you've gone through deaths and rebirths in your life, whether that's losing someone, having a child, moving through pivotal points in your life that just changed you. Look at those moments and notice, did you lose aspects of yourself? What did you carry forward? And start to nurture that inner child, that expression that's there, because that often has little nuggets to help you remember where you came from and what you might have hidden. This journey is not about becoming someone new necessarily. You might feel new. You might be like, I don't even know who I am or what this world is anymore because it's changed so much because of these actions that you're taking. I'd say it's more about reclaiming and respecting and finding that power and freedom and authenticity that has always been there. Thank you for being here with me today. If this resonated with you, please share it, subscribe to the podcast, and leave a rating or review if you would be so kind. It really helps so much to grow our community and get this word out because This is a movement. This is a transformation that us as women, we are carrying the torch for. I want my daughter to feel embodied and powerful and not repressed and not have to go through the challenges that I went through, that many of us have been through. So let's continue this journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. Until next time, stay well, be wild, and we'll talk soon. Thank you for joining me on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of insight, guidance, or intuitive inspiration. To dive deeper into our community and get access to exclusive content, head to my website at www.olivia-ashley.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also connect with me on Instagram at wildlyolivia for daily inspiration and updates. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Trust it, nurture it, and let it guide you. Until next time, I'm Olivia Ashley, and I can't wait to connect with you again.